Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. It's going to be watches that I sell that I kind of wish I owned but don't. You know, sell thousands of watches, have thousands of different watches in inventory, and obviously every now and again a watch comes in, and I'm like, wow, I got to own one of those. And rarely do I take them into my collection, but today I've got 5 watches that that we sell, and they're watches that I wouldn't mind adding to my collection, but maybe they're too big, or maybe there's something about it that I just can't wrap my head around. So they haven't made it into the collection yet. Maybe one day they will. On a side note, a couple weeks ago I went to the Paddock exhibition in New York City. I'm sure some of you went. It was really cool. If they do it again, I'm sure they will. I just don't know when. You got to go. It's amazing what they put on display, from their current collection to historically significant pieces. All their movements were all broken apart. They had virtual reality stuff. They had watchmakers to talk to. It was super cool. I guess a bit of public goodwill, if you will, because very rarely do we get that, that kind of a sneak peek. You got to go to like Basel World to get something like that. But even then, I mean, they had pieces that were on loan from private collectors that, you really literally blew your socks off. Onto what I'm doing today. I'm just wearing one watch. This was in the chronometer video that I did. It's the Breitling Aerospace quartz chronometer. I had to get the battery changed, if you remember. So I had the battery changed, and now it's on my wrist. It's titanium. It's light. It's comfortable. Great for the summer. Anyway, let's get over to the table and check out watches that I sell that I don't currently own. Obviously, there's a lot more than 5 watches that I sell in the store that I wish I owned. I tried to pick a couple here, or 5 of them to be specific. Not all blue, not all automatics. I got a quartz in there. Just to give an overall idea of why I like watches. Everybody has their own reason for liking them. Me, it's the technology as well as the looks. Not just honestly, the accuracy to me is generally backseat. I'm not too concerned about that. So what I'll do is I'll pick up each one and go over it in brief detail, and then maybe give the reason or two why I don't currently have it in the lineup. So we're starting with the Seiko SAR X 047. This is from their Presage lineup. It is powered by the Seiko 6R15 movement, which is a higher end movement with both hand winding and hacking. 50-hour power reserve thanks to a Sprung mainspring. But what I love about this watch clearly is the dial. It's not blue. It's not green. It's somewhere in the middle. It's got the tuxedo stripe texturing to it, the applied markers. This watch to me is just a real blast. I mean, it looks great. The finishing is great. They pair it with a brown strap, and true to Seiko fashion, the deploying clasp is on the opposite end that you would expect. But that's why I like this watch. I like it because of the looks. Strictly looks. The 6R15 for me is secondary. This watch comes in at around $650. It's 40 millimeters in diameter, so it fits me fine. It's 11 millimeters thick. Sapphire crystal. Just everything you'd expect from a great dress watch. And look at that. They even put like a matching capuchon on the crown. It really finishes the look. So why don't I have this one in my personal collection? Well, it's new. Only had it in the store for, I want to say, a month or two. So at that point, I'm not going to take it yet. I'll wait till it's a little more, established. But that's probably the only real reason. I do have my fair share of bluish dialed dress watches, but there's always room for one more. So I have a feeling this one will sneak in one of these days. Next up is the Orient Polaris. This is DJ05003W. Again, see, just like Seiko, Orient puts the clasp on the other end that you would expect. But this is a beautiful white textured dial watch. This Orient Polaris with these awesome blue hands. The watch comes in 3 different executions. This is the one I like the best. There's a black dial, a two-tone, and then this one. But what makes this watch cool is that it is an excellent GMT. It's this third hand is actually independently settable. So the watch hand winds and hacks thanks to Orient's 40P51 movement. you pull the crown out one click, and as you turn it counterclockwise, you can see the hour hand bouncing in 1 hour increments. So this GMT hand that I'm rotating moves around the dial once per day, so it's keeping track of 24-hour time. And turning the crown the other way changes the date. And then if you rotate the time, you'll notice the GMT hand moves with it. So you can keep track of 2 time zones. So this is functional, keeps track of 2 time zones, but it's beautiful. Look at the dial work. I mean, tell me that's not gorgeous. Totally, totally gorgeous. And that's what I love about this watch. Now, why don't I have this watch? I feel it's a little big for my wrist, personally. I also own a load of GMTs, so I probably don't need another one. But I just think it's a little bit too big for me. At the end, I will try all of these on, so you can get a feel for what they do look like on my wrist. I don't think I mentioned the power reserve meter. Super cool. So some of the specs, it's a 42 millimeter, but it lacks most of a bezel, like a diving bezel or anything, so it does appear large on the wrist. It's 12 millimeters thick, sapphire crystal, see-through case back, a nice rich brown strap. This one retails for around $369. So for a true GMT that looks awesome, definitely well in the range for most people. Next up on the coolness scale is this Aristo Trophy Chronograph with carbon fiber dial. This thing is new for the store. I have it in a different color. I just got it in blue because I thought the blue would be cool. But what I like about this is the carbon fiber dial. And if you're not familiar with what carbon fiber is, it's a composite. It's an extremely high strength to weight ratio material. I made stuff out of it when I was in engineering, so it brings back the engineering days of 090 weaves and all that good stuff in life. But you see the checkerboard pattern. That's basically a 090 carbon fiber weave. The carbon goes left to right. I believe it's called warp and fill, and up and down. And then they machine it and polish it for the for the watch dial. But they then pair it on this kind of mock-looking carbon fiber strap. Now, if I owned this watch, what I would do is the Aristo's parent company, Volmer, makes carbon fiber bracelets that we sell. I would put this on a carbon fiber bracelet, and I think that would be awesome. The awesome engineering watch, I would call it. So this is a quartz chrono. It's powered by a Ronda 5030 movement. Problem with this one is it's 45 millimeters. It's just a big watch. It's 12 millimeters thick. It's a mineral crystal, obviously a solid screw-down case back because this is a quartz. 50 meters water resistant, but it looks really nice. And check out the registration of the seconds hand on the dial. Hits the ticks perfectly. Start, stop, reset. It's a 12-hour totalizer down here. There's luminescence on the hands for nighttime viewing. Right now it's not dark in my studio, so I really can't turn out the lights. But just a nice watch. Really cool looking. Like I said, an engineer's watch in many ways. But the size for me is, I'll try it on later, but it's going to make it a no-go. This one comes in at around $180. A good value for what you're getting. Made in Germany as well, as you can see at the bottom of the dial. And for no good reason other than I own some Junkers dress watches already, I don't have this one in my collection. This is a Graf Zeppelin, which is made by the same company that makes Junkers. The manufacturer is Point Tech. You've heard me say that before. That is the manufacturer. They do not sell direct on their website. So this is a Graf Zeppelin LZ129 flatline automatic watch with this cool power reserve meter. Check out that offset power reserve. See that as I wind the watch, the power reserve needle moves. A little 24-hour clock down here. It's not a GMT clock. It's not independent. It's slave to the hour and minutes. Date. But it's got this awesome cream-colored dial, black hands, and then the gold accent hands. Really cool looking. It runs on a Miyota movement, a 9000 series movement. It is a mineral crystal. It's 40 millimeters, so it's perfect for me. It's 12 thick, but it's got this nice tapering on the case that makes it appear a lot thinner than it really is. It's a 20 millimeter brown strap, and now here we've gone deployant, and as you can see, they put the deployant on what we would consider to be the correct end of the watch. This watch retails for around $550 for what you get for that price. Made in Germany, automatic, power reserve. Really, it's definitely well in the price range of what watches like this should cost. You can see the Miyota movement, 26 jewels. Like I said, I own some Junkers watches that kind of look like this, so there's no reason for me to have another, unless obviously one falls in my lap one day. I don't think I would fight it off, but this one definitely one that I would not mind owning. And then the last one up is from Ballast, and really not for looks. This one I like strictly for the engineering. The watch is already running. I did a video on this watch about a year ago when the channel was a lot less popular. It's probably even more than a year ago. What is the cool thing about this watch? Well, the cool thing about this watch is you wind it and set the time with the bezel, not with the crown. It's super cool. It's the man who invented this watch is nothing short of a genius of some sort. The only other company that I know that does this is Ulysse Nardin with the Freak wristwatch, and that is 100 times the price of this. This one's $499. I don't know what if Freaks go for, 20, 30 grand, some crazy number. So anyway, so this watch, as I turn it, you might be able to hear it's actually winding the watch, which is there's a little. If you opened it up, there's a little sprocket inside that's tied to the bezel, and it does the work of the crown, but except it's not the crown. So how do you set the time and the date? Well, you unscrew this cap here, and then there's a little button here, okay? You're going to push this button in, push it in once, and you're changing the date. See, I'm turning it clockwise and the date's changing. Push it in twice, all the way, and now you're changing the time. Isn't that awesome? It's so cool. And then to reset it, you basically will just press this button up here, but that happens when you screw this down all the way, but we'll just press it in, and now I'm winding the watch again like this. You screw this down, and you're ready. This watch comes in a bunch of different colors and finishes and stuff, but like I said, this watch for me, it's not so much the looks. Well, the looks are cool. It's fairly different. Just the engineering inside it really blows me away. So it's powered by a Miyota 8215 movement automatic. Automatic self-winding movement that also obviously hand winds. It's a 46.5 millimeter case, so that's definitely precluding me from owning it. It's 14.5 mils thick. It's a mineral crystal, see-through case back, and it's this nice 22 millimeter strap. But again, the only thing preventing me from wearing this guy is the size. And speaking of wearing, let's go through now, and I'll pop each one on my wrist just for a minute so you can check them out. So since I'm only wearing one watch today, for some reason, I feel like doing the try-ons on my right wrist, which is the wrist I normally wear my watches on when I'm wearing one because I'm a lefty. So here's the Ballast, as you can see. I mean, it's fairly big. The lugs just go to the end of my wrist. It's chunky, it's large, but you just can't beat the engineering inside, and that to me is the standalone knockout for this piece. Next one up is the Graf Zeppelin Power Reserve watch. No good reason not to own this other than the fact that I have watches that are very similar to it. I mean, has that stopped any of you in the past? Probably not. But I love the look of this one. What do I like the best? It's the offset power reserve. It reminds me of a Glashütte or another high-end German watch, with the dials that are kind of off-center and stuff. It harkens memories of those watches, seeing them in magazines or in the jewelry store window. So that's why I like this piece. Next one up is that Aristo carbon chronograph at 45 millimeters. Again, like the Ballast, it's just a little bit too large for me, in my opinion. It's a little bit too bold. I mean, it's not horrible, but I think it's just a tad too large for my 6 3/4 inch bony wrist. Maybe I should wear it higher up on my wrist, and then I can enjoy all that beautiful carbon fiber engineering. Absolutely no reason not to own this watch. Wow, I love the dial. Perhaps when it becomes a little more commonplace and the newness of it is worn off, one of these will sneak its way into my collection. Never mind the tail, I didn't put the keeper down, but I love that. That's gorgeous. What a look. Seiko does a knockout. And they do blue so many different ways. They do the patty blue, they do the turtle blue, the sumo blue, and what's this, a SAR X blue? It's even like a blue-green, like an aqua. It's awesome. Last is the Orion Polaris, same deal. Even though this was only 42, because there's no bezel, it feels like I'm wearing the same size watch as the carbon chrono I just had on. It just feels a lot bigger. Again, never mind the tail. I didn't move the keeper up because I didn't deploy the clasp. I just wrapped it around. But still, man, look at the dial work on there and the hands. It's just beautiful. Maybe one day I can overlook the size issue and make it mine. Anyway, let's finish up the video. So this has been Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, showing you some wristwatches that I sell in the store but don't exactly own, well, yet. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to our channel if you have not done so yet. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below, and I'll be sure to address them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.